Hello, this is Peter Collins with another sales tip for the professional salesperson. In this module, I want to take your attention to a sales subject that gets very little recognition, or in fact, far less recognition than it should by the selling fraternity, either the team leaders, sales managers, sales trainers, and sales mentors and coaches. In fact, after 55 years in the sales industry, I still consider it to be one of the most important areas in sales. It's the subject of attitude, because in my opinion, in sales as well as all other areas in life, your attitude determines your success. And you'll know my reasons for this just after this short introduction. Now, on the subject of attitude and how it determines your success in sales, is a subject many would suggest has been done to death, but they won't use those words. Instead, they tend to tell you too much time is spent on teaching all kinds of people, and that includes salespeople, about attitude. Or there's too much emphasis in sales on attitude. Or that far too often salespeople believe that sales managers overemphasize attitude. And on and on and on and on it goes. Then to me, the most horrific story they tell is that in many salespeople's minds, the emphasis on attitude is akin to some kind of manipulative brainwashing process within the sales industry. What a lot of rot. If you believe any of that, you deserve to stay mediocre and never progress above the average salesperson within the industry. And that's if you ever get to become an average salesperson in that industry. Then there is a negative aspect of what the word attitude means, because once somebody says that a man or a woman has attitude, it conveys a bad thing. In fact, I remember being told in my early selling days that I would sell more except for my attitude. And all that did was suppress my ability to apply a good attitude in selling and to believe in my attitude to better myself and to become the person I wanted to be at the time. Yes, the negative approach to attitude can have a long-term or even more permanent, lasting effect on the seller, and that effect can go on for life in some cases. Now, before you voice your opinion on the subject of attitude, good or bad, allow me to present some of the facts that should restore your faith about the benefits of focused attitude, because that is one of the most important factors in selling. And here's how it comes together. All success and failure depends on attitude. Let me repeat that. All success and failure depends on attitude. In fact, succeeding or failing in any area of life depends on your attitude. And this is never truer than in any of the challenging times we face in life. In the good times, we don't pay too much attention to our attitude because life just seems to go on without roadblocks. But we must also be aware that challenges are constant in our lives. So if we are to succeed, we must keep our attitude positive, even in times of crisis. And this is despite those that look at attitude as a negative thing. Because most of the time, we're either moving into, in, or out of a crisis period. And it's the attitude we have about the crisis we are facing that will determine how well we grow because of it, or conversely, how affected we are by it. So get your attitude right and know your product, and you will succeed. Good selling not only relies on a positive attitude to succeed, but also requires that you understand the product reasonably well and work to appreciate the prospects or customers' requirements. Some call this needs selling, and others prefer to refer to it as wants selling. I prefer to believe that people only buy what they want and rarely buy what they need, and both are an attitude. But before we move on ahead and beyond all of that, I personally believe that the secret of a good salesperson is about what attitude goes on inside their head. By being aware of the needs, converting those needs to wants, and then building value in the wants until the order is converted into a product or service, and then to get the prospect to believe they either cannot do without the product or service, or at the very least would be so much better off by investing in the product or service. Worked properly by the salesperson, the question of attitude will now become a part of the buyer's domain, and that is all instigated by the seller. You see, selling is an attitude because it's about how the seller thinks and feels. It's also an attitude because it's about how the buyer thinks and feels, but the difference is the seller is the one that keeps encouraging the buyer into a specific and certain position. You see, above all else, selling is an attitude. It's how the salesperson thinks and feels. It's also about the seller's whole approach to themselves, their company, their products, and of course, their prospects, who then become their customers. In other words, it's all in the attitude. But the best part is, a good salesperson believes all of this can be condensed into just 3 words. And those 3 words are confidence, pride, and care, which too are all about the seller's attitude. Yes, attitude. Perhaps the most important factor of success in life. Many would say that, but it's most definitely the most important factor in professional selling today and to every part of the future. Yes, it's all about attitude.